In my earlier years, as a child, I was exposed to, leadership in the Adventist church. My parents, as a matter of fact, were church planters, Keith and Peggy James, and they were responsible, along with Pastor Rapana, for establishing the Midland Church. And, I observed through the years how they led out, supporting Pastor Rapana. And I myself was involved. My sister and I, as a matter of fact, were the pianists at the church. From time to time I would preach as well. I have my parents to thank for their, mentorship, their love, their guidance, support of me through the years to this point. There were others as well who saw the gift in me, the potential in me, and encouraged me in this direction for pastoral ministry. I must confess that as a child, as a teen, I had no aspiration to be a pastor. I read Ben Carson's book, Think Big, and I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. And I was researching that. But, when it came down to it, and the Spirit speaking to me, I enrolled at NCU in Jamaica, graduated there 2009, returned home, and I went back to my home church, Bethel. During that time, Pastor Lou was the pastor at Bethel. After him, Pastor Neftali Dorzilne became pastor of the Bethel Church. And, I'm thankful for Pastor Dorzilne and his wife, Suzette. They are a powerful couple. They adopted my wife and I as their own children. And they have been a support, encouragement to us. And God worked mightily.
Who am I? I was born in Trinidad and Tobago. I migrated to Canada when I was 11 years old, and I attended Grandview Adventist Academy. I think that was part of God's preparation for me being in Christian education, which is where I currently minister. As life went on, I went into the nursing field until at age 26, I heeded the call of God to change ministry paths and go into pastoral ministry. At present, I am the chaplain at Crawford Adventist Academy, where I have been serving since 2012.
Je suis un homme marié et ma femme s'appelle Evelyne Pierre-Louis Maniga. Ensemble, nous avons 3 enfants au nom de Rosnida Maniga, Carl Jovens Maniga et Gabriel Maniga. Oui, je suis d'origine haïtienne et je suis venu ici il y a peut-être 22 ans, 21 ans, 22 ans que je suis arrivé au Canada. Et depuis lors, nous menons notre vie de famille très très bien. J'ai grandi en Haïti, j'ai fait mes premières études en Haïti dans l'art et dans l'histoire, histoire de l'art. Et ici, quand je suis arrivé ici au Canada, j'ai complété mes études en sciences politiques, en sociologie, en droit et en éducation. Et j'ai fait une maîtrise aussi en théologie à Andrews University.
My name is Laurențiu Andrei Prelipcean, and I was born in Romania in a region called Bucovina. There I spent my childhood years. Bucovina is one of the most beautiful places I ever seen, and it is located in the north part of Romania near Ukraine. Both of my parents came from devout Christian Orthodox families, and after they'd been married for a while, my mother was invited to a 7-day Adventist evangelistic series. There she learned about the Sabbath, and she never went back to the Orthodox Church. Soon she was baptized and became a member of the 7-day Adventist Church. She wanted my father to join her, but unfortunately, he never did. On the 13th day of September 2003, I became a Seventh-day Adventist, and I will die a Seventh-day Adventist. I came in Canada in 2010. I am married, and I have a very handsome son. My family means a lot to me, and my son is the most precious gift God ever gave me. I love him more than life itself.
I was born and raised in the Greater Toronto area. I began working as a full-time pastor in the Ontario Conference in 2012. Prior to that, I was studying in the Adventist University of the Philippines, getting my bachelor's in theology, and that was where I met my wife. We got married in 2013, and since then, last January 2019, we had our first son, who we named Ezra Imperio.
My call to pastoral ministry started at age 16 when I heard the voice of God calling me toward ministry, and I flatly rejected it. I thought to myself, there is no way that I could be a pastor, not me. And so life went on. I took a different path. I was interested in psychology, but didn't pursue it. However, God has a sense of humor, and so 10 years later, at age 26, for no clear reason, even to me today, I decided that I wanted to take a preaching seminar in one of the ministry conventions that was happening that year. It was called Maranatha. At the convention, Pastor Maitland was actually the presenter. He's known my family for years. And so out of the entire convention, I think there were probably over 200 people in that tiny room. My sermon and two others were the only three that were preached out of everyone. If that wasn't interesting enough, at the end of it all, when I finally left the room, went downstairs, and it was many stairs, I realized I forgot my Bible upstairs. I have to go upstairs and get my Bible. I didn't want to climb the stairs, but I couldn't leave my Bible. So I went back upstairs, got my Bible, and while I was there, I heard Pastor talking to some people about free tertiary education in Trinidad. I thought, really? That's strange, okay. So I wandered over and said, hey, Pastor Maitland, what are you saying? And he said, don't you wish you were a Trinidadian? Because he knew my parents who are from Grenada, and he thought I was from Grenada as well. I said, Pastor, I am from Trinidad. At which point he said, girl, go get your free education. And so I thought, okay, I don't know much about it, but all right. I thought, here's an opportunity to do psychology, but I sensed myself being drawn to theology. I wrestled, Lord, theology, really? But here's my chance to do psychology, something I've wanted to do since I was young. I battled, I prayed, I battled. And finally I said, okay, Lord, if theology is where you're calling me to go, then I'll just say yes. And so I chose to apply for theology, and I went to Trinidad to do just that, get a Andrews bachelor's degree in my homeland for free, because God is a good God.
My call to ministry took place a long time ago. When I was 14 years old, my mother sent me to a Seventh-day Adventist high school in Bucharest, the capital of Romania. After I finished my junior year in high school, during my summer vacation, I went to Spain to look for a job and to support myself financially. I wanted to pay for my last year in high school. While I was in Spain, God revealed Himself to me in a mighty way. For the very first time in my life, I completely understood that I'm not alone under a silent blue sky. There was someone who wanted to guide me. There was someone who wanted to walk with me every single step. And God answered all my questions during that summer. And I remember this particular day. I was working in constructions, renovating the basement of an apartment building. And while I was working, I was praying in my mind, and I asked God, God, what do you want from my life? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to study? And as soon as I finished my prayer, one of my coworkers, he turned around, he looked at me and he said, Lawrence, you should go and study theology and become a pastor. When I heard that, I was completely shocked. This guy didn't know that I was praying. And I knew at that very moment that God spoke to me through that man. My summer vacation came to an end. I went back to school to complete my high school. And while I was in my last year in high school, I asked God to reconfirm His calling. And in most of the Seventh-day Adventist churches in Romania, at the end of each year, on the last Sabbath of each year, every member receives a bookmark with a Bible promise written on the back. That Bible promise is supposed to remind to that individual about God's love and about God's promise during the next year. And I remember while I was in church, I was watching the deacons coming with these Bible promises, and I start praying and I ask God again, God, I want you to reconfirm my calling, and I want to know for sure that you are calling me to study theology. And when the deacons came, I picked up one of those bookmarks, and when I flipped it over, on the back of it, it was written Jeremiah 33, verse 3. Call to me, and I will answer you, and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. Then I went and I applied to the seminary to study theology and to become a pastor. When I went to take my homiletic exam, I remember when I entered into the examination room, there were a lot of professors sitting at a table, and on that table there were a lot of pieces of papers with Bible passages written and placed upside down. When I entered into the room, I was asked to go and pick up a piece of paper. On that piece of paper, I will find a Bible passage, and I was required to create a sermon and preach it on the spot from that specific Bible passage. And when I picked up one of those pieces of paper, I flipped it over, and on the back of it, it was the same promise God gave to me when I asked Him to reconfirm my calling, Jeremiah 33, verse 3. I created a sermon, I preached the sermon, I passed the exam, I passed the other exams, and in 2008, I completed my bachelor degree in theology, and in 2010, my master's degree in religion with Andrews University. And right after the graduation day, I came to Canada.
It was back in high school when I really surrendered my life to God. You know, I was born in the Adventist church, but it was then that I really made God my Lord and Savior, and He began to work in my life. And from that point on, I began to really take part in ministry, especially in our local church in Bramley, Filipino. And as I began to become more involved, people started to recognize some gifts in me, and they were really encouraging me to be a pastor, but I had no desire or no dream of going into pastoral ministry until I preached my very first sermon in church. And after I preached that sermon, I just received a flood of encouragement, really telling me to really consider pastoral ministry. And so this burning desire and conviction was born in my heart, and I really wanted to confirm, was this really from God? Was this call from Him, or was this, just a feeling I had? And so I really started praying, and I really said, God, if this is from you, you really need to affirm this call. Give me one last affirmation that this call is really from you. Shortly after I prayed that prayer, something happened where I was talking to someone and trying to give him advice, and he wasn't even a Christian. But he then said, so are you planning to be a pastor or something like that? And as soon as he said that, I had a feeling in my heart that this was that answer to prayer that I was looking for. And from that day on, I made that decision to answer God's call to enter pastoral ministry.
The call came to me to pastoral ministry in 2015. I was called to serve as the assistant pastor at the Toronto Central Church in North York. It was my first church, of course, and I thank God for the experience. I thank God especially for my mentor, who was also my lead pastor, Pastor Alan Chichester, and for his guidance in my life. You know, I really respect him. As a matter of fact, I remember our first heart-to-heart conversation. He said to me, he said, David, I will treat you as my equal. And for the 3.5 years we served together, that was my experience. You know, he exposed me to as many aspects of pastoral ministry as possible. He shared his knowledge with me. He poured himself into me. And I believe that I'm the person I am today as a pastor because of his mentorship. And so I thank God for him and his wife as well, supporting my wife.
Ma mère avait l'habitude de m'appeler pasteur, mais je ne comprenais pas. J'avais toujours le désir de partager la parole de Dieu avec les jeunes gens de mon quartier. Je me rappelle tout jeune, je sortais de l'église et j'allais distribuer dans des endroits tels que l'hôpital, dans les quartiers. J'allais distribuer des feuillets sur la santé, sur le retour de Jésus. Donc, je me voyais tout le temps en train de parler de mon Dieu. Mais je n'avais pas compris que c'était un appel. Il y avait un ami et moi qui en parlait toujours. Nous disions qu'il faut que nous soyons pasteurs. À un certain moment, il est allé. Et quand j'avais 18 ans et 19 ans, je me suis dirigé vers l'enseignement. Ce n'est que beaucoup plus tard, quand je suis arrivé ici au Canada, que je ressentais l'appel. Tandis que tout allait bien pour moi, je travaillais, tout était OK, mes enfants étaient grands, ma femme travaillait, une stabilité économique, émotionnelle. Et à ce moment-là, je ressentais que non, je suis en train de passer à côté de ce qui me passionne vraiment. Mais j'étais toujours à l'église comme directeur de jeunesse, comme responsable du ministère de l'école du sabbat, comme ancien. Mais cela ne me suffisait pas. Je prêchais souvent. Mais à un certain moment, dis-je, je me sentais appelé. Je n'étais pas content avec moi-même. Et pendant plus que 3 mois, chaque matin, quand je vais au travail, c'est comme s'il y avait quelqu'un qui s'asseyait à côté de moi en disant « N'oublie pas l'appel. N'oublie pas que je te veux comme pasteur. N'oublie pas. » En fait, quand j'ai expliqué cela à ma femme, Yvonne, elle a dit « Jo, si c'est là ton appel, laisse tomber. Va étudier la théologie. » J'ai dû oublier de retourner à l'école. À ce moment précis, je commençais mon doctorat. J'avais un petit restaurant. J'ai tout abandonné pour pouvoir aller à Andrews University et pour faire la maîtrise en divinité. Oui, c'était un second appel. Et je n'ai pas pu résister.
A motto that I've always tried to live by is by His grace and for His glory. And what that basically means is everything we do in ministry is not based on our own talent or ability, but it's by God's grace that we're able to make a difference in this world. And for His glory, meaning in the end, it's not about building up my own reputation or my own self-esteem or my own ego, but it's about giving God glory and praise.
Il y a 1 Jean 3, verset 20, un texte que j'aime beaucoup. Il est dit, si votre cœur est troublé, Dieu est plus grand que votre cœur et il connaît toutes choses. De ce texte, j'ai retenu au moins 3 choses. L'homme n'est jamais seul ici-bas. Dieu marche avec lui. Une autre chose, il n'y a pas de problème que Dieu ne puisse pas résoudre. Quel que soit l'endroit où vit une personne, dans quelque situation qu'il puisse se trouver. L'amour de Dieu est plus grand, plus fort que toutes les barrières qui font face devant nous. Et troisièmement, chaque matin, je me réveille avec ce verset en tête. Dieu est plus grand que ce que je vais rencontrer aujourd'hui.
You know, it tells me that I am a royal priesthood. I'm part of a royal priesthood, a holy nation. I'm special to God. And the reason that I am royal, holy, and special is because He has given me the purpose of declaring His praises. He's called me to darkness, marvelous light. And so I believe as a pastor that part of my mission is to empower God's people to understand that we're all part of a royal priesthood. We're all holy by the indwelling Christ. And we have value. We're special in God's sight.
My favorite Bible passage that defines my ministry is found in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 17. For Christ did not call me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with the wisdom of words, lest the cross of Christ should be made of no effect. I always identify myself with this passage, and I find my calling in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 17.
That's a difficult one because there are so many great hymns out there. But if I were to narrow it down, I'm really pondering between even His eyes on the sparrow or how great is our God. But if I were to pick one, I believe it would be this. Do not dismay, whate'er betide, God will take care of you. Beneath His will of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day. Oh, all the way, He will take care of you. God will take care